The Cursed Merchant of Wuyin Village. A horror tale in 6 parts, told by a survivor. Part 1. The Stranger Arrives. I still remember that night. The night the fog came down like a living thing. It slithered through the rice paddies, curling around the bamboo groves, swallowing the moonlight whole. Even the dogs refused to bark, and every door in Wuyin Village was barred tight. Through that mist, I heard the faint creak of a wooden cart. At first, I thought it was the wind, but then came the sound of slow hooves, the groan of wheels sinking into the mud. When I peeked out my window, I saw him. A tall, stooped man, his body wrapped in a ragged gray robe. His hat was wide and torn, hiding most of his face. But I could see his mouth, stretched into a grin too wide, too patient. His horse was nothing but bone and sinew, its eyes pale as river stones. He introduced himself the next morning as Old Liang, a traveling merchant from the north. He said he sold things of need and things of desire. When he opened his cart, the villagers gasped. Inside were jars of cloudy liquid, talismans carved from what looked like bone, and scrolls written in ink blacker than soot. He sold medicine, he claimed. Charms against evil, he promised. But no one trusted him. Master Han, our village head, warned us that day. No man who smiles that much carries an honest heart. Don't buy, don't talk, don't tempt misfortune. We all nodded. But fear and curiosity are cousins. And in Wuyin, we always choose curiosity. Part 2. Whispers in the market. For a while, nothing happened. Old Liang set up a small stall beside the temple, near the ancient willow tree. He hummed to himself as he arranged his strange goods, always that same low, tuneless hum, like someone breathing through their teeth. The crows began to gather. Every day, more of them. They perched on the temple roof, the gate, the trees, and they watched him. Even when the wind blew hard, they did not move. People whispered he must have brought some northern curse with him. But then came the accidents. A farmer's ox went mad and trampled 2 men. Children woke screaming, saying an old man stood over their beds, whispering through the dark. At dawn, feathers appeared in doorways, not scattered, but arranged in perfect circles. Then, one afternoon, I saw something that made my blood run cold. Old Liang was selling a mirror to a farmer named Ping. The glass shimmered strangely in the sun, as if breathing. When Ping leaned closer, I caught a glimpse of the reflection, but it wasn't his face. It was another man's, twisted in pain, his eyes wide with terror. I gasped, but when I blinked, the reflection was gone. The mirror looked ordinary again. That night, Ping was found hanging from a beam in his barn. His mouth was open, his tongue black, and though his body swung lifeless, his eyes were wide, staring toward the temple. Part 3. The Ban. The next day, the village gathered in fury and fear. Master Han's voice thundered across the square. Enough! He brings death. We drive him out tonight. As dusk fell, the men lit torches and stormed toward Old Liang's stall. I followed from behind, my heart pounding. He stood there, as if expecting them, hands folded, face calm, that awful smile frozen in place. When they demanded he leave, he simply tilted his head. I came to trade, he said softly. But trade requires balance. You give nothing. You take everything. Is that not unfair? His words made the crowd uneasy. Master Han spat at his feet. Take your filth and go. We want none of your witchcraft. They overturned his cart. Jars shattered, spilling black liquid that hissed where it touched the ground. A smell like burnt hair filled the air. The crows screamed and took flight, circling above us in a dark storm. Old Liang's smile did not fade. He whispered something under his breath, words that no one understood, but which made my skin crawl. As he turned to leave, he said, Wuyin will remember me, even when none of you remain to speak its name. Then he walked into the fog, his silhouette fading until the mist swallowed him whole. That night, thunder rolled not from the sky, but from deep beneath the earth. The air shook, and the first grave cracked open. Part 4. The Plague of Shadows. By morning, the river turned black. The fish floated belly up, their scales peeling like paper. Soon after, the livestock began dying. Their bodies twisted, their eyes oozing dark fluid. The healer, old Madame Shu, said it was a curse. "The merchant has bound your greed," she hissed, pointing at Master Han. "You shamed a man who dealt in spirits. Spirits do not forgive." The sickness came next. Villagers began to cough up black water. Their skin turned gray. No medicine worked. At night, I could hear something scratching at my window, soft, patient, rhythmic. When I dared to look, I saw footprints in the dirt, but not human footprints. They were long and narrow, like a man walking on his fingertips. I dreamt of old Liang every night. He stood at the edge of my bed, his shadow longer than his body, whispering in that rasping tone. "Trade is balance. You took from me. Now I take from you." Each dawn, another villager died. Their mouths were stuffed with coins, Liang's coins, the ones people had mocked and thrown at him. When I picked one up, it was warm, almost pulsing, and when I held it to my ear, I swear I heard a faint whisper, "Debt must be paid." By the seventh night, half the village was gone. The well water turned cloudy, and in the reflection of that murky surface, faces began to appear. Faces of the dead, floating just below the surface, their mouths open in silent screams. Part 5, The Return. The fog returned on the ninth night. Thick, silent, absolute. I couldn't see the moon, couldn't hear the crickets, only the faint creak of wheels and that old humming. I ran to the square, and there he was. Old Liang stood beside the well, his gray robe torn, his hat gone. His face was pale and sunken, skin stretched tight across bone. But his eyes, they glowed faintly red, burning in the mist. "You drove me out," he said, voice soft as silk. "But I left something behind." He tapped the edge of the well with his walking stick. The hollow sound echoed for a long time. Then came the whispers, dozens of them, rising from deep below, crying, gasping, begging for mercy. My knees went weak. "What did you do?" I whispered. "The water you drink," he said, smiling, "now remembers your sin." His body began to crumble, flaking away like burnt paper caught in a breeze. But his shadow did not fade. It slid down the well like liquid night. When morning came, the villagers found the water black and thick, smelling of decay. No one dared drink, yet the sickness spread faster. Even Master Han fell ill. Before he died, he clawed the walls and screamed, "He's under the ground. He's under." Then he went still. That night, every bell in the temple rang on its own. Part 6, The Last Night in Wuyin. Now, only I remain. The fields are gray and lifeless. The crows never leave. The air tastes of iron. And the mist, the mist never lifts anymore. I try to flee. I packed food, prayed to the ancestors, followed the old road to the mountains. But every path turned back upon itself. After hours of walking, I found myself again at the village gate, the sign reading Wuyin half buried in the mud. I realized then, the village was no longer part of the world. It was trapped, like a jar sealed by the merchant's curse. At night, I hear carts creaking outside my door. Sometimes I hear footsteps circling my house, dragging, uneven, slow. And always that humming. I no longer light candles. Their flames twist strangely, forming faces in the smoke. Yesterday, I found something on my doorstep, a single coin, warm to the touch. When I dropped it, it didn't fall. It melted into the earth. Tonight, I sit in the old temple, writing this by moonlight. The last candle flickers beside me, its light trembling. I hear footsteps behind me, soft and patient. A voice whispers, "A merchant never leaves a debt unpaid." I turn, and there he stands, old Liang. But he is not entirely a man now. Half his body is smoke, the other half bone and shadow. His smile has grown wider, impossibly wide, stretching across his face like a wound. He holds out a coin. "This is your payment," he says gently. "You watched. You said nothing. You too were part of the trade." I try to run, but my legs do not move. He places the coin in my palm, and the metal burns like fire. My skin sizzles. I scream, but no sound comes. The candle goes out. The temple fills with whispers, thousands of them. The air thickens, and then, through the darkness, I see the reflection in the pool beside the altar. It's not my face staring back. It's his. Old Liang smiles from within the water, and his mouth moves though no sound escapes. I understand anyway. Now you belong to Wuyin. The last thing I remember before the darkness takes me is the sound of his cart, creaking, rolling away, fading into the fog once more. Epilogue. No one remembers Wuyin Village now. The name was struck from maps generations ago. The land is overgrown, the paths lost to the forest. But travelers say that sometimes, when the fog comes down from the northern hills, they hear a faint sound, the creak of wooden wheels, the jingle of coins, and an old man humming. If you listen too long, he will speak. Trade with me. He'll whisper, his voice curling through the mist. Just once. And if you answer, you'll never be heard from again.